Welcome to WorldSimSeries and welcome to the Porsche Fever final round of the championship here from the Brno circuit in the Czech Republic. It is the final round. The drivers are super duper close in the standings, especially the Cup Pro Plus class. Menderes and Nani on equal points going into this final race. Kashoni, Bernini, Tunila, and Kalossai still theoretically in it. Kashoni probably the most likely of any of those, but Matas Menderes is Matas Menderes and Kristinani definitely the two drivers that we do have to look out for here tonight. Vielgo leads Grajis, who leads Lapo and Galhardo for the Cup Pro Am title. GT4 Pro Plus, well, Jan Nims has taken it quite easily, actually 100 points, free wins out of the free races he has contested, so has already missed one. Gubarevs took the win in the GT4 Pro Am standings, another 100-point driver. He actually only did 2 races, but not many more races by others as well. And GT4 Am, well, that's a battle that's going to go down to the wire. LaRue, Nikanen, Kwiatkauskas, and Marin, the top 4, and all of them in with a shot at this title. And as always, I'm joined by Laurinas.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the final round of this Porsche Fever Championship. The 6th round of the season will take us to Brno circuit located in Czech Republic. As Gustas has already introduced us with the circuit, still in the qualifying session, 5 minutes and 20 seconds to go. Matas Menderes 0.008 of a second behind Kristinani, but 10 kilograms heavier car here. I wonder if that's going to have an influence on the driving and the overall outcome, because whoever finishes in front out of these two, that will finish the championship ahead, but not exactly in the championship winning position if Kristinani and Menderes finish at the lower top 9 places. Kajoni might grab this one. He is currently 3rd, but whole 4 tenths behind Matas Menderes and Kristinani, so it's not looking so promising for Kajoni here in this qualifying session, but you never know. The races usually are full of surprises. We have 1 hour of pure racing action with one mandatory pit stop, which sometimes changes the final outcome. We don't see Tunila and battling here this evening with the drivers. He's 5th in the championship standings, missed 1 round already, and decided that, well, he has no time here to battle it out because he's basically out of contention in this battle. Jan Nims is also not present, leaving other drivers to try and clinch that win, and Gubarev, the driver who has a few podium finishes, I believe, and he's usually at the top of the finishing standings, is currently in the lead of the qualifying session in the GT4 Am class, GT4 Pro Am class, and Nikanen is currently 2nd. The difference between the two drivers is a little bit less than 2 tenths.
Yep, well, Gubarev has taken the title in the Pro Am class anyway, so that battle is kind of over in terms of championship standings. Menderes, though, goes to the top of the qualifying session, 16 thousandths of a second ahead of Nani. Those two are battling for the championship. Whoever finishes ahead pretty much takes the title here tonight. So these two, well, definitely in a big battle, and we'll see who can find the lap time here. 3 minutes to go in this session, so as Nani crosses the line, he'll have 2 more laps left. Menderes has 2 more left as well. Big slide coming through this final S section. A very famous circuit for motorbikes. Not as often used in the large international series for cars. At least nowadays. You didn't have the World Touring Car Championship racing here, but it's now mostly looked upon as a motorbike track, and some incredible races on bikes, and I'm sure we'll see an incredible race here tonight as well as we look to Nani. Mendelis into the pits, so he doesn't think he can improve at all. And, well, big gap behind these two. 0.4 of a second to Kashoni, and then almost a second to Bernini.
Yep, but it's a very small gap between Mendelis and Nani. I wonder if Nani has something in his sleeve. He doesn't need much to start this one off pole, and I'm pretty sure both of the drivers want to start on pole position. Chrissy Nani goes definitely too wide here. I wonder if he has enough of fuel in his tank, because I think this lap will just not be fast enough here. And, well, if either he has no fuel in...
Need to back out here, just cool down the tires and maybe try and go again, because I don't think he's going to go faster while pushing hard and sliding around. He'll be, I mean, probably has fuel in the car if he's continuing on with his run. Would be very strange if he didn't have any fuel in the car and he just kept on going. A little bit of a slide from Nikkanen there.
Yep, but
who's actually taken provisional pole for the GT4 Pro-Ams.
Yep, I wonder, did I just see the car go on two wheels, or was it a graphical glitch? But it looked to me that two wheels went off the tarmac. I don't think we have this enormous amount of grip, making the car turn sideways a little bit in one of the turns. Maybe we'll see that a little bit later in the future. But, well, it looked quite interesting from this car. Oh, look at Chrissy Nani. Look at Chrissy Nani. He looks like he's pushing here.
Yep, goes purple in Sector 1. A little bit of a slide through the left there. We'll see if that loses him any time, but still green on the mini sectors. Nope, too wide, and I think that is qualifying session over. So Mendelis, he'll be ahead of Nani. Even if I think he'll take pole. I think the gap behind is just too large for anybody to find a second or half a second in this final run. But the important part for Mendelis is he's ahead, and that's all that really matters here.
Yep, Matas Mendelis looks like he's the only Dream to Drive driver here this Tuesday. And I don't wonder at all why, because the whole Dream to Drive team was in Slovakiaring this previous weekend in the Porsche Central Europe Cup. Yeah, too long for me again to remember that name, but they were battling on the racetrack and actually took wins. Tauras Tonila, together with his teammate, they managed to win the 1 hour's so-called endurance race. That's why Matas Mendelis is currently the only driver who is representing the Dream to Drive team here on the virtual Brno circuit. And Matas Mendelis, well, you could say he's doing a phenomenal job. Kashoni was a little bit faster through Sector 1, but it looks like he's not improving through Sector 2. And he's already only a little bit less than half a second behind. So maybe that's going to be an improvement. But will that be enough? It was an improvement. No, it was not an improvement, actually.
Oh, it is an improvement.
It is. Yeah, it is.
Actually, the timing line is very, very far down the straight. But it's a very, very tiny improvement, and Matas Mendelis takes a pole position in the Pro-Am class, in the Cup Pro-Am class. It is Lapo on pole ahead of Enevoldsen, and these two are the only ones who can win the title. Actually, Enevoldsen can't. It is... Yep, it's actually only Lapo who can win the title here. And he just needs to get 10 points, which is a P5 finish. And since there's only 4 drivers in that class, I think that shouldn't be too difficult to do. In the GT4 Pro Plus class, Yilmaz is ahead of Gavars in the qualifying session. GT4 Pro Am, Nikkanen ahead of Gubarevs, but that championship is sealed already. And GT4 Am, well, LaRue takes pole position ahead of Marin and Shire. And LaRue, well, he's battling for 4th in his GT4M class. So would need to get a good run going as we get ready to go for the final race of the Porsche Fever season. Been a long, well, 5-round series, and tonight we will crown the rest of our champions that we haven't crowned just yet. And for the final time this season in the Porsche Fever series, we're off and away. Good enough start for Mendeles to keep hold of the lead, and actually Nani under pressure from Kashoni behind, and Bernini as well to the outside. Nani dropping positions. That's not the start he wanted. Contact between Kashoni and Bernini as Mendeles just about holds on to the lead. Bernini to the outside, contact with Mendeles and off the road. Well, he tried to do something there. Kashoni is trying to get Mendeles, and to the inside of Mendeles, I think that's Nani as well. Nani takes the lead incredibly. He was down to P4, 5 as they went into turn 1. Now Mendeles down in P3. Big slide from Kashoni. Mendeles up into P2 as he actually he's side by side with Colossi. As Mendeles in P3 at the moment. Good exit, and he's now down the inside of Nani, I think, as well. This track proving some very, very interesting racing. That is for sure, at least here on lap 1. So Nani takes the lead, and a very, very dynamic first lap of this race. Lapo drops to 2nd in class, but that would still be enough for him to take the championship. LaRue still leads GT4M. That would be enough for him to take the championship as well. And Nikkanen leads the Pro-Am standings, but again, that championship already sealed up by Gubarevs.
Oh wow, what a first lap, and what incredible opening corners did we have. It looked like Matas Mendeles had very successful start, but then the other drivers, they started kind of attacking the leading cars. Nani lost a couple of places, then Mendeles got hit from behind slightly by Kashjoni and was still in the lead, but out from nowhere Chrissy Nani came. I think he was 3rd at that time, and he managed to put his Porsche up into the 1st position. That is all that he needs here on this track. To stay in front of Matas Mendeles and well, hope to clinch the win in this championship, though Matas Mendeles is right there, really close. The only difference is that Nani has the clean air in front of him, and Matas Mendeles will struggle a little bit, I believe, with the front. Also being a slightly heavier car, having a slightly heavier car underneath him. At this moment, Nani looks to have a very brilliant chance to take that champion crown. Kajoni back to P5.
Turn 1 was, I mean, at the exit of turn 1, Nani was behind Mendeles, behind Kashoni, and behind
Bernini, I believe.
Bernini, yep, who went off wide and almost took Mendeles out with him. As this is Kashoni getting past Enevoldsen up into P4, well, back up into P4. He had that very, very big slide at the exit of that first, I wouldn't call it a chicane, but it kind of is. It's a left-right sequence, and there's a few of those around this place. Mendeles still close behind, just 0.2 that gap, so putting the pressure on He's definitely not giving up. And looks like the pace of these two, as shown in the qualifying session, where they were separated by under 200ths of a second, it looks like it is very, very similar pace in the race as well.
Yeah, look at the gap already. Colossi 1.8 seconds behind Matas Mendelis, and Cajoni is catching up with him. The previous lap was 1.4 seconds slower than the lap time of Matas Mendelis. Nani proving that he's not there by mistake leading this race, setting another fastest lap time so far. But Matas Mendelis, he's not being left too far behind. It's now 0.5 of a gap between the two leaders. And it looks like it's gonna be a very interesting 1 hour race. Maybe a little bit of strategy spice will get involved in this battle for the not only the win of this race, but for the win in the championship. Remember, it's a 6 race championship, and all the race results.
5 race championship.
Is it 5 race? Why am I
Yes.
keep repeating that it's a 6 race championship? Okay,
No,
so
we're on round 5, and this is the final one. But
okay,
maybe there's a
yeah.
special race that nobody told me
Maybe
about.
it was. Maybe I did some sort of pre-race session or something. That's why I'm counting 6 of them. But yeah, it's a 5 race championship. Every race finish count toward. Oh yeah, you see this corner? Did you see the car seems to be flowing on air? Due to the angle, I believe, of that circuit.
Maybe.
Is that Bernini of the racetrack? It is Bernini again of the racetrack.
Maybe a little bit too much Czech beer in that corner, and cars start floating away.
Yeah, some magic taking place in that particular part, and Bernini, he's having a rough final run.
Well, he spent about half an hour in that gravel trap trying to get out.
Yeah, he did.
But he's he's had a difficult day today, and we're only 6 minutes into this race. He's been off the track twice, and well, what started as a pretty good race start, he was up into the podium places. He's kind of now out of it. Mendelis, whoa, big recovery of time, 3/10 of a second gained over Nani. So putting the pressure on. Obviously, car behind, he's going to struggle more with tire wear.
And
Nani's front end grip.
Nani's last lap was invalid, meaning that he was way off the racetrack. Maybe that's why we have this difference, even though Nani has set his personal fastest lap time, but it's marked in red. It didn't count. So he feels the pressure definitely here from behind, from the driver who shows very stable results throughout the season. No matter what position Matas Mendelis is battling for, he usually looks very calm and steady. Yeah, again, this corner. This is from now on. That's gonna be my favorite corner.
Oh,
yep.
Oh, the car took off.
Yep. that is what I was.
It took off all 4 wheels.
Yeah. So that's what I was talking about. Interesting racetrack. Well, with cars, well, they don't seem like they are jumping. I think it's just a visual glitch. But we can imagine that the cars are just jumping in the air with no grip for a couple of moments and then back onto the grip to aim for the corner.
This Porsche Cup car that we're watching here, it looks so squished to the ground as well. Right? It looks extremely squished. Maybe that's the setup as well, but I mean, the rear end looks super low. That's normally not what you want on a Porsche.
Yeah, and this is an Evolten, and he's currently in the lead of the Pro M class as Cresinani now responds with a massive...
Oh,
Mendelis.
Somewhere.
Yep. I think he
we'll
was
see
off
what
the
he
racetrack.
can do. And we'll see what he can do to actually recover this time, because he was in the slipstream the whole way through. Now out of the slipstream. The question is, can he now recover that time? There's still options in the strategy as well.
Yep,
but
indeed.
I think
And
today not too many GT4s out on track.
did you notice that, Mendelis made a mistake on the very same lap that I have been talking about him of being very stable and making no mistakes? And maybe he did that on purpose.
Another jump. We'll see what he can do. I'm very interested to see if he can actually regain the time he lost. But strategy, I think, will play a very, very big part of the race here. Not too many GT4s, so won't have that much traffic. And the track is quite long. Difference in lap time is about 10 to 12 seconds. So should be, what, 6, 7 laps into the race they would normally catch up? No. 12 laps into the race.
12 laps. It is already it's the 6th lap already, I believe, or is it the 5th lap? I think it's the 5th lap now. Yeah, it is the 5th
so
lap.
Actually, we'll get about 20 minutes into this race, more, maybe even 25 into this race, before they catch up to the traffic.
It's going to be a very unusual race for the Porsche Cup drivers and for the GT4 drivers, actually. We had plenty of battles of the multiclass in the previous 4 rounds on every circuit. But it looks like on this one there's not going to be too many. Well, the leaders are currently gaining on one slower car. I think that's Lulis. He might have been in the pit lane. I think he was just previously in the pit lane, but it's gonna be only one car for Nani, Mendelis, Kalosai and Kashoni, your top 4 leaders in the Cup Pro Plus class, who will gain on that lone GT4 car in a couple of corners.
Kashoni reducing that gap. He's not catching up to the leaders, but should get into P3, maybe even now. Nope. Try making a move.
I think he just made a small mistake. Look at the gap that Colossi has rebuilt here. I think Kajoni was just a little bit too fast into one of the corners. And again, different lines from Kajoni and Colossi. It's beautiful looking on the onboard camera now how tighter lines Kashoni is taking through the corners, and I think that's not working out for Kashoni while driving these lines because Colossi got away from him a little bit here in this section, as we should gain on the GT4 car in just a couple of moments. This is gonna be 2 straights, if you can call them so, in this Brno circuit. We don't have very long straights here. As Kajoni gets closer and closer to Colossi. What about that GT4 in the distance? We can already see it. That's Lulis running around the racetrack. Colossi, I think he'll have to go defensive if he's thinking about any defense at all. It wasn't too big of a defense, just quite slow movement towards the inside of the racetrack. This time it worked out for Colossi. The GT4 is out of the way and Kashoni is all over the back now. I think
Colossi is actually fighting this. I maybe didn't expect that. I mean, clearly there's a pretty big difference in pace, but Kashoni, well, is really struggling to pass. I don't think trying the outside is the best solution here. He's gonna go to the inside this time, finally gets that inside line, and as he'll go into the hairpin, well, not really a hairpin, it's 2 90-degree rights, he should get the position sealed if we don't see a comeback from Colossi. Nope, so Kashoni on his way. But obviously he was much slower in the qualifying session than your 2 leaders. So don't expect him to catch back up. This is Gubarevs. He's, well, cruising to the line. Doesn't need to do anything crazy. He's already won the championship, so he can do whatever he wants, really.
He could and he can, but why not dream about the victory in the last round? While Jan Nimts was here, there was no chance for any other driver, but I think Gobarev should give it a go. He's only 2.6 seconds behind Nikkanen now, so he has experience. He knows how to drive this Porsche GT4 car. Why not have fun, not only for himself, but only for his fans, maybe? Try to do something here on Nikkanen.
We'll see if he can get a move on. Mendelis 2/10 gained this time round, so slight increments, slight gains, but those are important gains for sure. We'll see what his decision is on when he takes his car to the pits. Now, he kind of needs to be a little bit closer to have a real chance at a little bit wide there from Gavars, but Mendelis needs to get closer if he wants to actually put real pressure on Nani and have that pressure of deciding when to pit and Nani having to respond. That gap has really come down to 0.6 of a second somewhere. So I think Nani made a mistake as he was purple through Sector 1 and clearly went a little bit off track. Now that gap down to half a second. So Mendelis made a mistake. Now Nani has made a mistake and that gap has reverted back to pretty much where it was after lap 1. We'll see if there's any shot at making that move. Again, Mendelis looks just a little bit more confident, just a little bit quicker, but obviously made that mistake earlier on in the race. Then he was quicker for a couple of laps. Now he's gained back after a mistake by Nani.
0.3 of a second now, the gap. Suddenly Matas Mendelis has just received plenty of confidence. Look, 2 minutes 1.3 versus 2 minutes 0.1. 1.2 seconds difference, so definitely Nani, I think he was trying to push. He had a very strong first sector and then he lost it somewhere later on the circuit. Look at Matas Mendelis, he's now within the slipstream trying to not lose the advantage of Chrissy Nani that he currently has. And well, at this point, it's only... that's all that Matas Mendelis can do now. I think they are very similar on pace, and to make an overtake here happen on the racetrack, you either need a mistake from your rival just in front of you, or you have to figure out something with the strategy. Matas Mendelis runs a little bit too deep, now too tight, and that's going to be advantage for Nani. That should be, but it looks like Matas Mendelis still flying through the corners, so Nani maybe lost a little bit of balance here. Remember, the setups are open for these for this Porsche Cup class, meaning that it is possible that the drivers are on a different strategy. Maybe this is the part of the stint where Matas Mendelis has a little bit better balance on his car. We're about to see. But it looks like Matas Mendelis on fire now, feeling the championship smell here in front of him. Not willing to let it go. Karnatka overtaking FM here on this lap as Matas Mendelis losing a bit of time. Look at the lap time of Kosciuszko. It's not that bad now during this race. His fastest lap time is only a couple of tenths slower than the fastest lap time of Mendelis and Nani. It was almost half a second difference in the qualifying session, so Kosciuszko could have done a little bit better in the race if not that very dramatic race start. As Chrissy Nani tries to recover here now and extends the gap a little bit, but look at the pace, it's so very similar by both of these drivers. That's gonna be a tough one. Yuri Lapo and Enevoldsen. This is another battle for the win in another class. Battle for P5 in the overall standings here in this race. But battle for the lead in the Pro M class. Both of the drivers have managed to overtake Bernini. Bernini is now up to P8 after overtaking FM. And Bernini tries to recover after those big mistakes that he has done in a couple of first laps. He's now 3.5 seconds behind Karnatka. This is a Pro Plus driver. I think he'll be aiming to overtake Karnatka, Lapo and Enevoldsen, if that is possible at all, because he's 27 seconds behind Enevoldsen. Finally managed to pronounce the name of one of the drivers as we go back to the battle for the lead. Matas Mendel is getting a little bit closer again, and the gap stays as it was. What about the traffic? So it's slowly approaching. The drivers are slowly approaching some traffic, but it's gonna be mostly lonely traffic here in this race. In front of these two drivers are a couple of GT4 cars that should be Marin and Romagnoli, that will be first to be caught by the two leaders. And I think that's gonna happen by the end of this lap.
Yep, but again, it's just lonely cars. You'll not be approaching any big groups, so I don't think there'll be much of a shift in terms of lap time, unless you get really unlucky. But you can see that the track, well, it's extremely wide, and you've seen drivers take many different lines. I think a lot of possibilities to overtake here. It's not, you don't have that many single line connected turns. It's more open and easier to overtake. So sure, you might lose some time, but it won't be the end of the world like it might be on some other circuits. For example, Poznan, where the drivers were really getting stuck.
Yep. This is... I don't know, is this the perfect circuit to battle out for this championship? I mean, we have a very close battle, but within a multi-class race, well, multi-class type of race, I think we will miss out the bits and pieces of excitement that multi-class racing brings to us as we approach those two GT4 cars that should not take place by the end of this lap, though it's gonna be close. Nani, by the way, managed to extend this lead again on this lap, but just by a tiny bit amount of time. Look at look what's in front of Chrissy Nani and Matas Mendelis. There was a GT4 car in sight, but I believe there is only one GT4 car left out of two cars that it was. Yep, Romagnoli has pitted. There goes your multi-class racing. It's gone. We had two cars in front, and now we have only one.
Yep, Mendelis will... Oh, who was that?
That's Lapo and Enevoldsen. They swapped places. I think Enevoldsen just made a small mistake because he was quite in the lead of Yuri Lapo. The gap was a little bit more than 1 second.
Yep, well, Lapo was ahead in qualifying, so it's not a big surprise that he's gotten back past in the race, and with, well, wherever he finishes, he'll win the championship in the Pro-Am class. Oh, wow, Enevoldsen almost took Lapo out of the race, but both survived.
Yeah, I think Enevoldsen, he was not sure how to drive behind the car. He was in front of Yuri Lapo for the most amount of the race that the drivers did so far, and as soon as he got himself behind Lapo, I think he just misjudged his braking point. Good thing that it didn't end up with a crash, and the drivers continue their journey as Chris Inani extending the lead again. So it looks like the balance of the cars has changed again in the favor of Chris Inani with 35 minutes on the clock. We should find out shortly what the strategy of both of these drivers are. Well, usually if the drivers are on a strategy to swap the tires, they stop somewhere in the mid-race. So 5 minutes time will tick out, and if any of the drivers will go for a change, we should find that out quite easily. But for now, stay on the racetrack, and Nani doing a slightly better job here again.
Well, Mendelis will need to figure something out in strategy, I think, as well. If he can try and get past. They'll be approaching some more traffic up ahead.
Well, Mendelis has a small buffer between himself and Kashoni and Kolossai. If he's finishing second, well, basically he's losing the championship, finishing behind Chris Inani. Should the driver have something running through his mind right now on one type of a strategy, but as soon as he'll find out that maybe both of the drivers are on same strategy, what should one driver do? Should he repeat the successful Mercedes strategy where in a couple of races they managed to overtake the driver that they were stuck behind just by making one extra pit stop and putting fresh tires? I don't believe we will have a huge difference
stop, I
here.
don't think that's going to work.
I mean, it was an extra pit stop here. If the drivers are on the no change tires pit stop, maybe Matas Mendelis should try something different. But look at the gap. Chris Inani made a mistake again. Maybe he will not need to figure out something.
Well, I think he can get close. That's not the issue. Overtaking is the issue. Yep, and he dives in. I was going to say, it's probably a good moment to think of going into the pits. As the gap came down, with a new set of tires, he should be able to gain half a second a lap. And this could be the difference here. So Nani stays out on the circuit.
This is definitely a tire change. This is definitely a tires change. Marin drive through for speeding in the pit lane. But Matas Mendelis, well, he definitely thinks about something here to try and make a difference, and he dives into the pit lane first. I wonder what's gonna go through the mind of Chris Inani now, as he has been left alone in the lead. Matas Mendelis down to P6, so he lost 4 places here with this pit stop. He's currently 14 seconds, well, 13 seconds.
Yep, he's got a lot of empty road up ahead of him, and Nani, he's going to have a little bit of traffic at the end of this lap. And he definitely does, so he's definitely going to lose time here. He needs to respond. He's got 2... Well, I can't see any other option here because Mendelis is going to turn up the heat with a new set of tires.
But he's Matas Mendelis is 37 seconds behind. I think that the pit stop delta is roughly 40 seconds. Yeah, with the refueling and the tires change. But what about only 1 liter, adding 1 liter of fuel and staying on old tires? I wonder what Nani has in mind. But well, regarding the pace of both of the drivers, and actually Nani was faster, I think this is the time now for Chris Inani to go into the pit lane. You are absolutely correct. They should be on the same strategy, and if they are, Nani needs to go into the pit lane. He understands that, and that's exactly what he does here. So Matas Mendelis, well, at least he tried something. They have tire warmers here, meaning that you are already fast as you go out of the pit lane. So this is going to be a very fast lap by Matas Mendelis. He was right on the tail of Nani. I think that's going to be very close by the end of this lap. Matas Mendel is on your screens. He's currently P6 in the Cup class. Lapo goes into the pit lane, so one rival off already from the horizon of Matas Mendel. Is Chrisinani, is he on a move? I think he's on a move. That's not going to change, I think.
They'll be racing on the exit. I think Mendelis might just have him down into turn 1.
He does. He does,
and by a big margin there, actually 2 seconds the difference between these two. Nani, well, he definitely got stuck in that traffic. Mendelis takes over the lead of the race. Well, he's P4 now, but once everybody stops, he'll be in the lead by a big margin, 2.5 seconds. So Nani, he's lost everything because he doesn't have a tire delta, and he's now 2.5 seconds behind. So maybe the wrong choice to not be the one to stop first by Nani when he saw the traffic incoming. He had a shot at it. He could have done it.
He was in the lead. I think it's always difficult to take a decision when you're in the lead. It's always a little bit easier when you're following the lead, and that was where Matas Mendelis was at. Don't forget that these drivers, they are on themselves. They don't have team in the backup. They don't kind of have the brain to think about it while not driving at the very limit, so I think it's just the way it is. And of course, Chrisinani, well, he could sense that Matas Mendelis will be trying to head into the pit lane earlier, but I think Matas Mendelis went 2 minutes or 1 lap earlier than Nani has expected. He went in with 34 minutes of time remaining. So he'll have 1 lap older tires, but he currently has 2.7 seconds lead, and dealing with the traffic, Matas Mendel is virtually taking the lead of this race. Now looking at Kashoni, he's 32 seconds ahead of Matas Mendelis. This is a driver that also has nothing to lose here, as he's... who's that so close? It's Colossi actually very close to Kajoni, so Kajoni is kind of not dealing very good with the traffic. Lost quite a lot of time. I was just speaking about Kajoni, and well, his chance to maybe stay out for the remaining time of this race to just go in for a splash for fuel, but he's about to lose the lead now to Colossi side by side. And
I can't see him gaining a position by just getting a splash of fuel. The gap down to 26 seconds already, and I think once it goes under 20, Mendelis is definitely ahead, and we've got another half hour of this to go. So no way to have an opportunity to gain that position.
Yeah, but he has nothing to lose here. I think, unless Colossi takes that position, but yeah, he's battling actually with Colossi now in this race, as it's clearly seen on the screens. Staying out a little bit longer. It's already 28 minutes from finish, but it looks like Kashoni struggles quite badly now with his tires, so I wouldn't imagine it possible for Kashoni to stay out too long, as Colossi, he was on the inside, but he's very careful and braked a little
bit. One of them has to pit. One of them has to dive into the pits.
Both of them.
It's actually both of them. So,
okay.
Probably the worst decision you can make. Oh, he just smacked the pit wall. We definitely got damage on that car.
Kajoni is a little bit out of himself in this race by the looks of it, so a couple of mistakes on the opening laps, now struggling on the pace on the in-lap, hitting the barriers in the pit lane. It doesn't look too good for Kajoni. Both of the drivers are still standing in the pit lane, as look, the traffic, it actually plays some part in this race, and well, we had traffic at the opening laps. I think that's Ilmas. No, I think that's Nikanen. Yep, it is Nikanen and Matas Mendelis. So Nikanen is currently down in P2 due to making a pit stop.
So Mendelis gets past the lead in GT.
Colossi out on track in front of Nani.
I think he just had a splash.
So I think when he went into the pit lane, he fought through something. So I think he thought that, okay, now similar strategy with Koscielny gains me nothing. I should try something else, and he did something else. Maybe that was running through the mind of the driver, as both of the cars were going into the pit lane. And actually, these are very good news for Matas Mentelis. Kalosai managed to slow down Nani a little bit. I think Nani lost roughly 1 second here in this lap because it was a 2.5 seconds gap between Mendelis and Nani. It's now up to 3.3, so not big of a loss. But
No,
still.
I think Mendelis lost a little bit in the beginning of the lap with some traffic as well. So I think the gap is going to kind of stay stable. These two, they were running very, very similarly in terms of lap time, so can't really see a big shift unless somebody makes a mistake.
Pit stop of Koscielny was actually very slow. The total lap time is 2 minutes 40.7, so maybe the in-lap was also slow, because the in-lap of Matas Mendelis was 2 minutes and 36.
Well, we saw Koscielny battling all the way through the in-lap.
So it's where he lost the most, but look at the difference, 14 seconds for Kolosai in the pit lane, and it's now down to 12.4 between Kolosai and Koscielny. So this lap gonna be should be a couple of seconds faster for Koscielny. So Kolosai lost quite a lot of time while battling the Nani. Yep, it is. Well, 1 second difference actually per lap. So Koscielny also lost a little bit on the racetrack, but it's gonna be a battle now between these two for P3, and Koscielny on fresh tires, Kolosai on old tires. 24 minutes on the clock, so that's roughly 12 to 13 laps. So it's still plenty of laps for the drivers to complete here. And this is gonna be a big chance and a very important race for Koscielny if he wants to finish third here in this final round. Bernini up to P7. What about Ilmas? He's 15 seconds in front of Nikkanen, and he still needs to pit, so he'll end up behind Nikkanen and Gubarevs after he pits. Even if it's a splash and dash pit stop, it takes roughly 26 seconds to just fill up that tank with 1 liter of fuel and drive through the pit lane. So he'll definitely lose out the leading position. This is Nikkanen and Gubarev's 1.8 seconds battle now between these two GT4 Pro M drivers. I think it looks like the battle is on here. Gubarev was a little bit slower than Nikkanen on the laps before they took the pit stops. Wonder if that might change now as the drivers have fresh tires and a little bit less fuel on board.
Here's Koscielny getting through the traffic. Got Kolosai up ahead of him. That's his target. Won't really change anything in the championship standings. But with a new set of tires, especially towards the end of this race, he should be in a prime position to get that place back.
He's currently only 0.3 faster than Kolosai in front, so this is very good news for Kolosai. If that stays for at least a couple of laps longer, I think that's gonna be a very good position for Kolosai. Of course, with old tires, he needs to figure out how to save them. Oh, what's happened to Nani? Again, Nani made a huge mistake. Look, he's 1 second in front of Kolosai again. And maybe I'm making things out. It's actually the pace of Kolosai is very strong. He's matching the pace of the current leaders. Wow. This is interesting. I wasn't expecting that. I thought Kolosai, as he was overtaken by Nani, I thought he will fall behind the drivers, but it looks like he's just sticking up with them quite nicely. And look, Nani, he's running wide. He definitely he wants to drive as fast as he can. But all he does, he's just taking two wide lines on the exit. I wonder if that, how badly that punishes the lap times. I think we should stick with Chrissy Nani now and wait for him to cross the line in a couple of corners.
So Nani losing time.
Well, doesn't look so.
Actually, the timing went up. It was looking like about 4 seconds, but yeah, stable in that 3.5 range. So it's all about Mendeles to not make a mistake. So everything's on his shoulders.
And Kajonia actually lost out to Colossi on the previous lap. And that's roughly 11 laps on the table now. Nikkanen back in the lead. Ilma's now down to P3. With a slow lap time, but it was not a pit lap. I think he pitted one lap before. But this lap was 2 minutes 12.5, 4 seconds off the lead pace.
Could just be maybe unlucky, very unlucky traffic.
Well, he's been he is being overtaken by these cup cars here. That's not Bernini. Oh, that was Yuri Lapo actually. Yep. It was Yuri Lapo. Yuri Lapo 3 seconds ahead of Enevoldsen. So safe, currently quite safe in the lead of the Cup Pro M class. Matas Mendeles losing out a little bit already to Chrissy Nani and having a 1 lap older tires. Still a very healthy lead here. Remember, whoever finishes in front out of these two, especially if we're talking about the win of the race, the driver will take the championship crown. Look at the pace. I think, wow, if that's not Matas Mendeles saving up tires, he's at risk here. I wonder if Matas Mendeles will have something to respond to the pace of Chrissy Nani. He just set the fastest lap time of the race so far, 1 minute 59.8. And he's flying here now. He definitely wants to catch up with Matas Mendeles. So looks like those travels of the racetrack, they don't punish the driver too much. So taking a little bit of too wide of a curb on the exit, it doesn't seem to be slowing the car too drastically down. But wow, taking the inside curb, what about that? The car went 2 wheels into the air definitely here on this corner, and the gap already went up to 3.2. It's coming down again. That's how close it is. That's how hard the drivers are pushing here, battling for the championship. When look at Nani, he doesn't bother anymore to take that grass on the outside from that curb. It looks like it works nicely here on this track, on the Assetto Corsa title. This is a mod track from Czechia, Czech Republic, yeah. Brno racing circuit. A very interesting track, and it looks like Nani is now over pushing it a little bit. Look at Colossi, 4.5 seconds now behind Nani. He was 1 second, 1.2 seconds a couple of laps ago. That's how much he has lost. Maybe some traffic in the way. Matas Mendeles also fighting a little bit with the traffic. He gathered up a little bit of pace, and Nani, well, everything he won on the previous lap, he lost out on this one, and Colossi definitely running very slow. His previous lap was 2 minutes and 1. This lap is 2 minutes and 2, and he's now only 8.5 seconds ahead of Koscioni. So this battle for P3 is definitely not over here on this racetrack. As we had
16 minutes to go. And, well, the race has calmed down, especially from the craziness of lap 1. LaRue looks set to take the GT4M title here tonight with a win in the class. Not a win overall in GT4, but a win in the GT4M class would be enough for him to become champion here tonight. As Mendelis is the other one really fighting for a championship. Lapo, well, his one is pretty much secure, just needs to get it to the end. And he'll take that Pro-Am title.
Yeah, but this is the biggest battle of the championship between Matas Mendelis and Chris Inani. Both came into the final round on equal amount of points. The only biggest difference between these two drivers is how heavy cars they have for the race of tonight. And Matas Mendelis has 30 kilograms of ballast added to his Porsche car, while Chris Inani has a slight advantage here in this department. He has only 20 kilograms added to the car. Another advantage that Chris Inani has over Matas Mendelis at this moment are the fresher tires on his car. But the biggest disadvantage that he currently has, he's running second, 3.3 seconds behind Matas Mendelis. Time is running out. It's less than 15 minutes on the clock now. That should be 8 laps in total. So it's not over yet. 5 kilometers long circuit, I believe it is. The Brno circuit in Czech Republic. 5.4 kilometers long circuit, actually. They still have a plenty of kilometers to finish off this one. And Chris Inani, well, he's trying. He showed that he can be very, very fast. The biggest problem is when you overdrive the car a little bit while trying to gain those fast lap times, you end up making small mistakes. Well, it's usual sight in racing, in car racing or in any type of racing for a driver. But he has nothing to lose here. He's already losing out to Matas Mendelis. He needs to try something. Of course, he should kind of figure out what's working, what's not, and with that one very fast lap, he felt something about this battle taking place on the racetrack, but straight from the next lap, it looks like Chris Inani kind of lost that pace, and he's now almost 4 seconds behind Matas Mendelis here. What about the battle for P3? Colossi slowed down to a lot, actually. He was still very close on pace to both Mendelis and Nani. He's now very, very slow, 1.5 seconds slower on those old tires, and look at the car sliding around. Maybe he overdrove the car a little bit too heavy on the outlaps after he took that pit stop. Who knows? The pace is definitely gone here from this number 5 Porsche Cup Pro Plus car.
Yep, so everybody settling in. I think there's not much of a chance of anything changing towards the end of this race. Maybe that position switch between Colossi and Koscioni coming, but that's just for this race. In terms of championship, that won't change much. Well, Koscioni, I think he'll have a very, very big delta now, as Colossi, his tires definitely going away.
Colossi is actually battling with Bernini for P4 in the overall standings. Tonila is currently 5th. He's only 3 points ahead of Colossi, and Colossi is 8 points behind Bernini. So with Colossi finishing 3rd and Bernini finishing 7th, I wonder if that changes the situation in the championship standings.
Yes, that would be a switch normally.
So Colossi has a chance to finish off this one in P4 overall. But it's going to be a very difficult run for him. It's already 4.4 seconds. It was 13 seconds after the pit stops. So I think it's going to be an easy overtake for him. Look, 1.3 seconds advantage. So he needs mostly 3 laps to be on the tail of Colossi. And then it's not going to be a very difficult task to take that place away from Colossi on those fresh tires. And he was even a little bit faster on same tires after the race start. Remember, Khashoggi lost plenty of places. He gained on Khashoggi lost those places. Then he gained on Colossi, and he made a move in a couple of laps. It was
actually, well, for Bernini, it would be... There's not really a chance of a position switch between those two because we only have 5 cars in the Cup Pro class. So it doesn't make a difference that Bernini is 7th overall. He is 5th in Cup Pro, and Colossi is 3rd in Cup Pro. So the point difference there is only 5 points. With how many classes we have, it won't be a change. Sometimes difficult to see when we've got all of these classes here in the championship. But a new format trialed by WorldSimSeries, and next week, starting on the 6th of May, we'll have the Club versus Cup Championship. The Porsche Cayman GT4s and the Mazda MX-5 Cup cars out on track. And already drivers pre-qualifying for that one, so be sure to tune in exactly a week's time. We'll have a 45-minute race for that one. And the season starts at Laguna Seca. Then we'll head to VIR, Donington Park, Brands Hatch, Okayama, and Suzuka, the full course at Suzuka. It'll be interesting to see how these cars manage to race around Suzuka, especially the MX-5s. They might just be flat all the way through. But next week, Weather Tech Raceway, Laguna Seca.
Still time to join the championship and do a pre-qualification. And as usual, in the Premium Summer Series, well, it's gonna be an late spring, early summer series. Only 5 rounds will count towards the overall results for the drivers out of the 6 rounds, meaning that you still can kind of go on holidays and miss 1 round, but not miss the chance to battle it out for the championship. And it's definitely going to be an interesting season. It's going to be a 45 minutes race without a mandatory pit stop, but with a higher fuel rate. Maybe there will be drivers who will be willing to take a pit stop, not to be needed to save the fuel. I think there's gonna be need to save the fuel in at least a couple of races. So again, kind of a sprint race, but you will have the chance to do a slightly different strategy. Everything is written on the virtual paper on the WorldSimSeries.com website, the platform for this racing action fulfilled series. Just head on over, find the page of the championship on the WorldSimSeries.com platform, and you will be able to read through the rules and everything, and definitely join the championship.
Yep, so that's starting next week. And we'll be looking to crown some new champions in that series, as well as Kashoni. He's caught up. Well, the time difference has become massive here. And actually, I think if Colossi would have changed tires, he may have actually gotten through, but he's gonna be overtaken here. Don't really see any other opportunity.
Yeah, this is over already in the favor of Kashoni, definitely. Is the gap between Mendelis and Nani? Yep, the gap between Mendelis and Nani just went up again by roughly 1 second. It's now 5.5 seconds between the leaders. And I think that's it. Matas Mendelis just needs to stay cautious now. Make no mistakes as these two battle it out for P3 in the Cup Pro Plus class. On the, well, almost final laps. 5 minutes on the clock. That should be a very easy overtake for Kashoni. Though Colossi still thinking about some defensive moves. There's nothing more that he can do. But with those old tires... Oh, was there a contact? Kashoni is off the race, was off the racetrack. I think Kashoni kind of lost it on himself, but then there was a little love tap from the rear bumper on the front bumper of Kashoni. It's still not over. It's a magic how Kashoni managed to save this one. I thought he will be flying and kissing the walls here, the barriers, but he managed to keep it together. I lost a little bit, and there's still plenty of time for him to gain back on Colossi, but Colossi is showing strength, and this is him telling for Kashoni that it's not gonna be easy with that move for P3, proving that this is gonna be a very, very nice battle whatsoever.
Yep, as we... Well, he doesn't really need to try anything crazy. He's got such a huge delta in terms of tires. Last time round by Colossi, 2 minutes 2.7, and that's the lap times he's kind of been doing the whole way through. So Kashoni, he's almost like he's coming up to traffic here. Doesn't need to do anything crazy, doesn't need to make any mistakes. If he does make mistakes, though, this is perfect for Colossi, who might just be able to hold on to a podium position, which was, well, quite unexpected here. So we'll see if Kashoni can do something. Shouldn't be too difficult. Well, we didn't expect it to be difficult.
Time is running out, and that gives strength to Colossi. It gives the confidence for the driver. Maybe he can do it, you know. It kind of gives you bigger motivation here towards the end of this race. If it would be 13 minutes on the clock, that would be different story. It's now 3 minutes on the clock. And the leaders, where are we here? Running to the straight. That's gonna be penultimate lap of the race. So 2 laps to go for Colossi and Kashoni. Of course, for Mendelis and Nani to finish this one out. It looks like the battles between the other drivers, they are basically over here. Lapo and Nevolts, and they are also quite close together, but not too close together, and these will have 2 laps, so 10 kilometers and 800 meters in total starting now, and the battle is on. Colossi defending the inside into turn 1. Both drivers lose traction a bit through the corner. Kashoni went a little bit too deep. Colossi lost the back end of the car, so both cars end up exiting the corner, still one behind another, even though it was very close then. And Colossi still keeping the lead, staying calm. trying to take the spots on the racetrack where he needs to take them to defend the position, the attacks of Kashoni. And now look, it's still 4/10 between the drivers. Colossi running a little bit too fast into the corner, but maybe this works out for him. Maybe he was saving the tires a little bit towards the end of this race. Here, this is the section, the twisty part and the slower part of the racetrack, where it looks like Kashoni has the biggest advantage here out of the two drivers. One with the old tires, one with new tires. It's it. Ooh.
Nope, he still stays ahead somehow. He definitely had some tires left, probably saved at least a little bit, but I don't think Kashoni expect this to be such a difficult fight. They'll have one more at the end of this one, as the race leader will come through that chicane section to start the final lap. These guys will have one more lap as well. Look at how wide Colossi goes out. He's definitely not got the grip. A little bit of traffic in front, and well, Colossi is hoping it's going to help him. Kashoni is hoping it's going to help him. It might be, well, it might just be neutral here.
Oh, that's going to be a very good exit for Kashoni. That's it. I think that's it.
Gets pushed to the wall on the inside. Colossi needs to keep him there on the inside. To the outside goes Colossi. Maybe he can take it around the outside throughout the whole turn. There's still side by side a little bit of a slide, but well, good job by Colossi. He did a great job to try and hold on. And I don't think this is done just yet. There's a little bit more traffic up in front. It all depends now on how Kashoni gets through it. He gets, well, he has to stop mid-corner, and Colossi didn't expect it. That was his real opportunity. He could have found a way on the exit. I think it's done now. I can't see Colossi coming back here. Kashoni just has so much more pace on those new tires.
It was a very nice battle. It was definitely a nice battle. It's still not over. I think there's very few chances for Colossi to take that spot. Did Colossi made a mistake? No, I think he was running sideways, but now taking a little bit too much of curbings. That's it, basically.
Yep. And here is your race leader, as he gets through some more of the GT4 traffic. Well, pit stop masterclass, really. And even after dropping down a little bit on lap 1, he stayed in second. He kept the pressure on. And out of the final turn, Matas Mendeles is going to take the title. The Porsche Fever Series goes to Mendeles. Second will be Nani. And Kashoni will take P3.
Still close, still close. Look how close it is. Colossi still managed to get himself so very close to the back end of Kashoni. Almost making it a dream final race with that different strategy. Colossi finished fourth.
And actually, the top 3 in this race are the top 3 in the championship as well.
Yep, Colossi is already out of the race, and Lapo should take P5. What about Nikkanen and Gubarevs? This is Nikkanen in a traffic of GT4 cars. This is your GT4 Pro M class leader. Gubarevs is 4.4 seconds behind, and these have still half of a lap to go to cross that finish line. We have some GT4 cars finished this race already, including LaRue, Ilmas, Kwiatkauskas, Shire, Gavars, and Lulis. But your top...
Lapo takes the Pro-Am Championship title by winning that class here. So, Yuri Lapo on top in GT4 Pro-Am in the championship, as we missed a couple of drivers for the final round. This is still raging on. And LaRue, he's taken the checkered flag, so he takes the AM title this season as well. These guys are... no, they're not in a battle. No.
This is
I
traffic.
thought this was the battle. No,
No.
so Niganen takes P1 in the Pro-Am class.
Yep, Gubadevs finishes second. They have to not forget that the line is kind of placed at the very end of this. Straight there you go,
Yeah, but it's
Gubadevs.
actually into the braking zone, which was quite strange to see. As, well, I think everybody's taken the line. Mendelis in Cup Pro Plus, Lapo in Cup Pro Am, GT4 Pro. Ilmaz wins that one, but Nims takes the title. Nikanen wins in GT4 Pro Am. Gubarevs takes the title. GT4 Am won by LaRue. He takes the title in that one. So championships handed out to everyone. And in just a week's time, we're back for Club versus Cup from WeatherTech Raceway at Laguna Seca. We'll have round one. Cayman GT4s and MX5s out on circuit. And if you want to participate, head on over to WorldSimSeries.com and register. Well, it's been a championship of many ups and downs and a great finale to round out the season as well.
Yep, so have a pleasant remaining evening and see you and hear you in 1 week's time. Have a good one.
Good night.